Xbox Game Showcase 2025. No longer are we in a world where Activision shows up at a couple different places, Bethesda gets its own showcase, and Xbox does its thing. Now it's all part of one giant experience featuring a direct after. This is our third year we've now seen this, this time featuring on Obsidian Games' Outer Worlds 2 and the surprise of Grounded 2. Overall, Xbox Game Showcase. What are your top-level thoughts, Snowbike Mike?
Ooh, Tim, coming to me first.
Of course.
Top-level thoughts, Tim. You know what? It was a really nice afternoon being spent with all of you, so always remember that. I really love seeing games and hanging out with you. But for me, on the Xbox Game Summer Showcase, I was going to say this, Tim. You know what? The opening was really weak. And I think the first-party promotion was also on the weaker side. I think first-party was lacking this year when we come to promotions, trailers, get hype moments. And so I just didn't feel like oh snap, Xbox has got the games. We know they have the games, but this summer showcase didn't show we got games, right? And so I'm a little lacking on that one. Also, a lot of the games that were shown aren't my style. I actually come out of this enjoying Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest that had more games that spoke to me than this one, unfortunately. I thought the third-party support was pretty strong with Persona and Final Fantasy. There was a day back in the day with XCast that Barrett never thought Persona would be on an Xbox. Now we get Persona 4, which is great to see him happy about that. And Xbox fans can be very excited about Final Fantasy coming to their consoles with 16 today. And then, of course, this fall, we will get Final Fantasy VII, which is like, hey, finally, that's a big help. And we knew Phil was bringing that team over to help us out and get over there. Man, oh, man, Tim, I thought we would see more EA or Ubisoft here. We did not see those two big parties present on this. So I thought the overall third-party support was kind of mid this year. It wasn't blowing me away on this one. I also thought that we had a very weak Call of Duty reveal. That was a crazy way to end this showcase of like, hey, 25 years of Xbox. We got Fable, we got Gears of War, and we got one more that's been with us, ride or die. And you're like, okay, Phil, what are we talking about? And then we just got a Call of Duty reveal that was not exciting, right? When I think Call of Duty, I want guns, I want action, I want COD, and that was not it. I do want to give major shout outs to, of course, Obsidian, who is putting out 3 games this year. That should be applauded. And also Clockwork Revolution from In Exile that absolutely showed up with a mega kind of breakdown show up that I thought for sure we'd be showcasing this game for this year with the release date. Kind of tough that it's like, hey, we'll be there when we'll be there. And so this year for me is falling in the mediocre to okay range, a 5 to 6 area.
Whoa.
For putting it on the kind of funny scale. Like I said, first party, I think Xbox has got ahead of it saying, hey, we want you to love us again. We got the games. And for the past 2 years, we've seen those games, but they're not ready yet, or we know they're coming. And so we kind of got to this moment of like, man, how much can we show? We're not there yet. And so we can show only so much. And so you got DLCs that will hold you over. When I look over, I don't want to talk too long, but you look at the end of 2025, I don't think this will go down as like a strong end. It will be a good end because when you really look at it, we have a whole lot of games to play. You're backed up, but I think it's missing one piece to be like, that was a really good another year to end this off. But we have so much games. We know there's more games coming. So for me, right down the middle, mediocre to okay, wasn't blowing away. I think next year will be better. Let down on it.
Before we get to everyone else's thoughts, I do want to say that the homies over at Activision have sent us a ton of codes for the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 Foundry demo that's now available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC for people that pre-ordered the game, as well as select Game Pass subscribers. But if you just want it for free, if you're not one of those people, Roger is going to be dropping the codes in the chat throughout this episode of Gamescast. You need to go to TonyHawkTheGame.com/pre-order to redeem the access code so you get to choose what system you want the demo on. So these codes then need to be used. TonyHawk.com, TonyHawkTheGame.com/pre-order. Go there. Look at them in the chat. Bless.
Tim,
where are you at with this one?
I will say that I was surprised and delighted during a lot of this showcase. I would personally give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid great. I go through announcements that were here. Games like Super Meat Boy 3D was a surprise that delighted me, right? You get to Clockwork Revolution, and I'm with Mike as far as, oh, I thought you would have ended this trailer with a date, because this is a long-ass trailer where you're showing us a lot of the inner workings of the gameplay. And I think my main critique with this trailer is that it was a load blown way too early. Like, if this was the trailer you wanted to show, you should have waited until the last moment.
We got to follow up next year with this.
Yeah.
It's like you already showed way too much.
Like, this
here.
is the trailer you show when the game is out this fall. Like, this is the trailer you show right before the game is out. And so I think we might have seen too much of it, but I'm not going to complain too much because every moment of this game that we saw was pretty fantastic. Aphelion from Don't Nod was a surprise, right? Like, I know there are plenty of people that love Don't Nod, that are Don't Nod fans, but Don't Nod now means more things to more people as far as, you know, their history with games like Life is Strange, but then like now recently doing things like Banishers and then also Jasant. I'm somebody who's always, you know, on the lookout for what this studio is doing next, and this game looks really different and really cool, and I like the direction of it. Mudang Two Hearts is another one that looks really cool, right? Giving us kind of that like third-person action shooter slash undead slash, you know, stealth sci-fi thing. Like, it looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places, but even as we were watching it, one of the things I mentioned is like it feels like we're not getting a lot of games that look like this anymore as far as like the third person campaign like action shooter game, right? Like, if you're not Capcom, like, you know, I feel like we're not getting as many of these, and so this looks cool. It has some Splinter Cell kind of energy to it, but then a lot of weird supernatural stuff going on, and this looked really cool. And then you get games like At Fate's End and Persona 4 Revival and Invincible Versus and Keeper. Like, this showcase had a lot of announcements that really spoke to me, right? I think for a lot of this is going to be determined down to what is your taste in video games, what are the kind of games that you're looking forward to, and a lot of the games that showed up here are games that I look forward to. I think at the same time for me, though, I have questions of where was Fable, where was Perfect Dark, where was E-Day, where, you know, what's going on with Forza? Are we going to see a new Forza Horizon type thing, right? What's going on with anything Halo? You know, I think if I'm coming into this with the mentality of somebody who's a first-party Xbox fan, then I totally understand the disappointment as far as what are the big dogs doing. But I think overall, though, I had a good time, and I think the only times where I felt any sort of bored was when they were doing what feels at this point like housekeeping. I think we have to have a discussion around the Fallout 76s and the Elder Scrolls Onlines and the Sea of Thieves, the games that you know are mainstays because they're at every single Xbox showcase, and I understand that. But those are the parts where now I'm like, every time I'm like, all right, cool. Like, Sea of Thieves is back. You know, we're going to get an update. Like, I understand why you talk about it, but I get bored. Like, that's just the reality. I like that you bring that up
because I think they've finally found a better rhythm for them. They're shorter, they're in, they're out. I think back in the day we used to clump them all together and we would really sit there blessed. So I think you know they're mainstays. They're going to be there. And if you're a fan of that, you're excited, right? Because these games are getting content. They're staying in the mix. And I think they've done a better job of like, let's space them out. Let's get in, let's get out. Sure, fishing stayed its welcome.
The fishing did not get in there, get out.
But like Sea of Thieves, that came in, it showed you smugglers, got you out, and made a way out of its way. ESO, you probably don't even remember what ESO showed you because that's how fast it was, right? And so I think they've at least done better at how they show that is right.
Yeah, and also there's a argument back and forth of which had the worst ending between this and SGF, in my opinion, right? SGF, at least we got Resident Evil 9, which is exciting, but the build up to that was terrible. This here, to Mike's point of, oh, we got something, you know, that's been with us since for the history of Xbox, and you have a really, really cool cinematic opening and it ends up being a Call of Duty. I understand Call of Duty, biggest game of the year every year. It is a fantastic cinematic, but it is a big letdown when I am looking at this trailer. I'm like, oh, what is it? Is it a new Prey? Is it Perfect Dark? Is it a weird Fable thing? Like, what the fuck is this? And it turns out to be a Call of Duty Black Ops thing. I love Call of Duty Black Ops, but I don't think this is the way to show this.
I think this was them showing you, hey, you should be interested in our campaign.
Yeah.
Like, I think this was their attempt at saying, hey, that thing you've been drinking, by the way, sugar-free, calorie-free. Would you believe that? And you go, oh, shit, I didn't know. It's so delicious. I think the trailer looked awesome. It looks great, and if it's anything like Black Ops 6 and how amazing that campaign was, and that's such an underrated campaign, I think that's something that people should definitely play. And this looks like, hey, you know, it's not just bro army shooter. Look how weird this can get and how kind of supernatural and very Remedy-like that this can get. I thought that looked pretty great. I'm with Bless. I'd go 8, maybe 8.5. It's up there. I really think that this showcase had a lot of awesome surprises, and some things that we didn't know still looked amazing. Clockwork Revolution looked fantastic, like you had mentioned. At Fate's End, was it?
Yes.
And the Mudang game, of course, looked really, really fantastic. But there was also just a lot of, Planet Alana 2 is such an awesome little announcement to happen. There was a lot of unknowns showing up here that really looked great, and I think they knocked it out of the park. I do, I won't disagree that when you say the developer that's been with us from the beginning, I'm like, oh shit, Halo, like, oh my god, that's all this can be. But it's Call of Duty, and not everybody's gonna love that. But
just real quick, like one thing that I think is important to note, and I think it's just weird because they had the in person not in person, on
site,
on camera bits with with Sarah and Matt and Phil. All of those, I feel like they didn't really do a great job of making it clear what exactly they were talking about. It kind of just feels like buzzwords. But the quote here that Phil said was, in 2026, Xbox will have a new Fable, the next Forza, Gears of War E-Day, and the return of a classic that's been with us from the beginning. So that's not what
that's not what Call of Duty is.
But that was
not well
weird to
presented.
like have that be the setup into the next thing.
Yeah, Sarah Bond talking about Silksong a whole bunch, and then us being like, wait, did she mean later this year that the game is also coming that year? I think the ROG Ally Series X or whatever they're calling it got me really pumped up.
This episode's brought to you by XREAL. Y'all know that a few months ago, my life changed forever when I brought a pair of XREAL 1 AR glasses on a long flight to New York. I legit could not believe how easy it is to use and high quality my experience was playing games, watching movies, TV shows on the plane without just too much extra stuff around me, or especially not a giant goofy headset around my head. No joke, this is my favorite new tech product in years, and it has earned a permanent spot in my travel bag. It is only hard to believe that it works as well as I'm saying until you try XREAL 1 AR glasses for yourself. And then you will see that the future is now. The tech is here. Connect XREAL 1 glasses to wherever you are playing, whether it's a handheld console, a PC, phone, home console. You just get a massive 150-inch virtual screen anywhere, anytime, for any game. Gaming on the go like a long-haul flight, you need the XREAL 1. Next starting to hurt from staring down at your handheld? We've all been there. You need an XREAL 1. A screen as big as your wall. Instant plug and play with all of your devices via USB-C. Built-in audio with sound by Bose, anchoring your screen anywhere in space. It's awesome. It just works. Zero latency at 1080p full HD. These are what make XREAL 1 a must-have. And we hear XREAL 1 Pro is coming soon with an even bigger virtual screen. Hit our link below to get your XREAL glasses today. There's nothing better than when a sponsor of Kinda Funny is something that we are legitimately obsessed with, and that is exactly the case here with XREAL. You're gonna hear me talking about these forever. Go to kindafunny.com/XREAL. That's kindafunny.com/XREAL. I promise you, you are going to love these things. This episode's brought to you by Factor. Summer Game Fest is here. The Switch 2 is here. The sun is here. So many summer things are here. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer, spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. We love Factor here at Kinda Funny, and Greg's often making and enjoying meals quick in between shows here in the studio. I just had a roasted garlic chicken, and I'm telling you, you would have loved it. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and goals. Choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Get started at factormeals.com/kindafunny50 off and use code kindafunny50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's kindafunny50 off at factormeals.com/kindafunny50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/kindafunny50 off.
Yeah.
As somebody who is 3+ years into owning a Steam Deck, and I still love the damn thing, but I would love more power at this point. And early on when we're hearing about this Xbox handheld, I go, no, that sounds like an absolute no for me, because I don't want to just use the Xbox launcher. The fact that this is going to be this Windows mobile thing, including every launcher that you could want, and it doesn't just look like a Windows desktop,
Did they name Epic?
Huh?
Did they name Epic?
I don't know.
I don't
think they did.
They said, I mean, like the fact that they said Ubisoft, Steam, and
think
Battle.net
Epic's
and everything. Okay, Epic is missing.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't.
Epic is missing.
I feel like that is something that could easily be done
Yep.
with this sort of launch. I either way, I'm like, oh, this really turned around my hype levels for what this handheld is, because
Same.
I'm always caught in between that weird area of like, my Steam Deck has all of my Steam games, and yes, I can easily put a Ubisoft loader like I tried doing with Prince of Persia Lost Crown before they eventually went to Steam, or I could get the Epic Store on there going through the desktop mode or whatever. It's annoying to do that shit. Like I love tinkering with shit. I don't love doing that level of tinkering when it's like I have to plug this into the HDMI to like type on the screen. It's annoying, right? This seems like this could be the solution, and immediately turned around how hyped I was. And I think it looks awesome, and the UI looks really sweet.
I imagine the other launchers are going to work just through Windows, right? So like Epic should work.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what I'm assuming is like, I'm
Yeah.
sure there'll be a solution there. Maybe it's just Epic didn't agree to the marketing or the mentioning or whatever, you know.
I also want to go back to the Call of Duty thing, because I totally agree with you as far as getting people in and being like, oh, this looks cool. Oh, this is Call of Duty. I think my main critique now I think about it is the fact that it closed the show. I would have had this be either
that's how you
earlier
open the show.
or open. This
Yeah.
would have been a sick show opener. I
Yeah.
think it being the show closer kind of sets expectations.
Yeah.
Well said.
Double
totally
Fine's game
agree
looked
with that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, what'd you think?
Yeah, this one, I feel like caveating this with last year, I'm pretty sure I gave the Xbox Showcase a 10 because I think that was a masterpiece of a showcase. And I feel like with that context, I put a 7.5 on this. I think it's between good and great. I can see an argument for saying it's great, but personally, like, I'm not that interested in most of these games, so I'm sticking with my 7.5 there.
Game Freaks game, baby.
I mean, that looks
Insane.
absolutely wild,
Looked
right?
rad.
But yeah, looking through here, a lot of really quality stuff. I think overall that was a great presentation. It was well paced. Like, we moved pretty quickly through things, and there was a lot of like, moments through that, which was cool. I do think that some of the on-camera stuff, actually probably all of it, was not right. Like, it was a little bit like, what are you telling me right now? Like, Matt Booty or whoever it was, I think it was Matt in the center of it, talking about Game Pass and stuff. It's like, what? Like, we know.
Yeah.
And I get that you're going to remind people things, but I feel like we're still a little bit, there's just too many brands. There's too many things to keep track of when it comes to this is an Xbox Game Pass and the cloud and all that stuff. And it makes sense and it works, but I feel like we're still not quite there of, I understand what that means, you know? Not just me, but I feel like normal people watching the stuff that if they're going to talk that way, it's for them. But a lot of pretty big surprises. Did not expect to see Final Fantasy. I really thought that if we ever did, it would be a Game Pass deal, and it's not. It's not Game Pass. It is coming to Xbox. You have to buy it. And Final Fantasy 16 Complete Edition coming out today. That's awesome. I want to see that game find as much success as it possibly can. The Tony Hawk stuff, obviously, I'm going to pop off for the secret characters, and the 3 new levels look awesome. Ninja Gaiden getting a date. It looks great. Like, there is a lot of stuff here that is cool, but to me, Super Meat Boy 3D, that's the one
oh
that
my
I'm like,
goodness.
the big surprise and delight of like, oh yeah, never would have saw that coming, and I'm stoked for it. And I am very excited that they did talk a little bit about the Xbox OS and that they're taking that stuff seriously, because I think that is very, very important for the strategy of Xbox to be successful. And I think that it's proving to be successful. This was a very, very, very good show of just showing that they have a ton of games, a ton of great partners when it comes to Persona and Final Fantasy. Ending on Black Ops, again, I think it's the placement more than anything that's the problem there. That is interesting. I do think it's cool that the big budget AAA shooting games are still having campaigns, because that wasn't always the thing. And the campaign last year was awesome. So if they can focus more on that stuff and actually like tell people, hey, we're taking this stuff seriously, and so should you, I think that's cool, but not as a show closer for an Xbox showcase when you have so many cool games to talk about. I do think they're definitely teeing up for an amazing 2026 after an amazing 2025. I'm not taking away from where they're at here. But yeah, them hyping everything up for next year, I think it's going to be a banger showcase next year.
It's really interesting to me. I know we're all giving our quick thoughts and we're trying to keep it short, but you guys not really mentioning many first-party titles, right? Bless highlighted Clockwork. I know Andy likes that, and we're keeping it short, but like all of you are highlighting third-party games here, and it's like that's where I'm coming from. Like, feels like we missed on that front for an Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on them not, if the games aren't ready. I think E-Day, I'm more and more thinking that E-Day will be a game that they showed off that initial teaser, and we won't see that for a couple years. Like I'm closer and closer to that sort of line of thinking, in a similar vein to where you get a little tease of Wolverine, and Wolverine's been gone for a long time. And I'm also kind of used to this sort of showcase for the last couple of years of the first parties just aren't, they're cooking elsewhere, and we'll let them cook for a while. But, I'm not basing this on where are the Xbox first party games. I'm still just basing this on, are they showing cool shit or not?
I think my thing is I came into this not really having the big expectation for, all right, what are the surprises that we don't know about? I feel like there's a good majority of Xbox studios that are working on games that we already know what they are, and then the ones that we don't know of, they just released games. Like I don't know what could have been here aside from an Everwild, or like if Rare decided to scrap Everwild and they're doing something new that could have shown up as an Xbox first party thing that I would have wanted to know about. And then as far as the things that we do know, I am like, where are those things? But at the same time, going back to the predictions that we did last week for Xbox, the theme of my predictions was that Xbox was going to have a banger 2026. I'm coming out of this showcase being like, yeah, Xbox is going to have a banger 2026, right? Like when I'm thinking about 2025 for Xbox, I'm like, man, this is Obsidian. Like this is Obsidian's year. Like this isn't Xbox, this is Obsidian. And then also, of course, Doom and South of Midnight and stuff we've gotten, right? But like, I feel like right now Xbox is loading up. I don't want to compare it to the Dominoes because I'm tired of the Dominoes.
Putting the Dominoes
They're
on
going.
the table.
I mean, they're fucking going. Like, it's been done at this point. Like now it's just like the next wave of banger games.
But yeah, 2026 feels like, I guess, a landmark for where we're at with the dominoes falling.
Yeah. I mean, I got to bring up one thing that I don't think we've said so far on this show. No State of Decay.
Yeah, that was surprising.
That's
a really good point.
Crazy.
It was odd that it was shown last year after what we knew about the studio and what was going on inside of the walls. So it was like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, you could go down the list. Tim, where's Contraband? We talked about that partnership with Avalanche. State of Decay is one of those, of course. You look at, Perfect Dark. Why do we keep showing Perfect Dark? Why did we show gameplay last year if we're not going to be getting into it?
Yeah.
And it feels like Blessing saying, we've shown you these. We're loading them up for a big 2026, 2027. Are we holding things back for a Gamescom or a Game Awards? And then, of course, we know they kick off the year with ID at Xbox, the developer underscore direct. There's like, they already have a lot of announcement moments here, and it feels like now we're kind of spreading them out, and maybe that's where we see some more. I think we'll see Fable at the Game Awards. I think we'll see something big for Fable at the Game Awards.
I mean, Crow in chat says, where's OD? That's another one.
It's interesting that he doesn't bring that up at all. Kojima.
Yeah.
He has been on stage. He has talked now, and it's like, oh, we're talking about this. We're talking about the next cool Metal Gear S game, but we're not speaking about OD. It's an odd one.
It's not time, man. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, it's
course.
Death Stranding 2 marketing, and the Fizzin announcement, that's a separate thing. That's announcing a many years down the line, ending a state of play. Like, we'll get OD.
That's the
I
swan
think OD
song.
is going to be a very small project that there's just going to drop. I imagine that maybe I'm wrong about this, but I see that as like a 10-hour thing at max.
Wow.
But
yeah, I agree with post Death Stranding 2. I think that's when you start to actually talk about it more.
A couple super chats that I wanted to get to here. The House Has Spoken says, could have been a 9 out of 10 show, but the ending with Call of Duty is total whiff for me. 8 out of 10. Bobby Joe says, where's Fable? I feel like we didn't expect Fable to be here. The vibe of this office, at least. Like, I think that it not being here, not a surprise to me, because I do feel like that's a later down the line thing. Matt Sanders says, I'm so sad we didn't get to see Silk Song. I just want the constant demand to end. It's...
Yeah, we saw
Yeah,
Silk Song.
we did. It's just like, it's that weird
It's
thing.
coming
of
out
like,
the same day as the Xbox Ally X. Right?
Well-
okay, what was that phrasing? Yeah,
No,
let's talk about this.
Let's
That
get
will
the
make that
actual
be
quote.
playable day one when when it releases on the Xbox ROG Ally. Is how I took that.
Later this year.
Because I
what
took
she
it,
said.
I took it as it was gonna be a
Yeah,
launch
I know
title.
it was a very weird. Another one of those, like Tim said, is like you're not making this very clear. We gotta rewrite this and figure this out. Because you walk away going, okay, well, she said day one. She meant day one when the game releases. It will be on that.
We got to get the people who are on like the writing team for the like outer world showcase.
out of words.
Out of words. We got to get the people who write that to like write the base Xbox
Should we
showcase.
go back